Assalamualaikum everyone, this is me, Mohammed Chaudhary, and welcome to Ami Physics class. Today we are going to cover a new chapter, so let's not delay anymore and let's begin. So, as you guys are seeing here that I have written the name and number of the chapter. Chapter 3.04, Forces and Gravity. Forces and Gravity. So today we are going to learn about forces and gravity. So the first thing comes in the mind is that what is a force? What is a force? A force is a push or pull acting on an object, causing the object to move. A force is a push or pull acting on an object, causing the object to move. A force is a push or pull acting on the object, causing the object to move. Now come to the question that force is measured in newtons. Force is measured in newtons. Now, Newton is the name of the scientist. Newton is the name of the scientist. Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton. Now let's come to the question that a force of 1 Newton will make an object of 1 kilogram move a distance of 1 meter. This is the second point. The first thing is the definition, and the second line, the first line is the definition of force, and the second line is that what is the unit of force? It's Newton. A force is measured in Newton. A force is a push or pull acting on an object, causing the object to move. Force is measured in 1 meter. And the second thing you are saying that here the star mark is an application of the definition. Is the second line you are saying with the star mark is that it's the application of the definition. The application of the definition is that a force of 1 Newton will make an object of 1 kilogram move a distance of 1 meter. A force of 1 Newton will make an object of 1 kilogram move a distance of 1 meter. So now you are applying, for example, you are taking a square box, a wooden square, for example, you are taking a wooden square box, and the weight of the wooden square box is, for example, 1 Newton. 1 Newton is the weight of the wooden box, or the mass of, for example, not exactly my concept, my example was wrong. Let me give the correct example right now. That, for example, you are holding a square wooden box, and the mass of the square wooden box is exactly 1 kilogram. It's not 0.9 kilogram, it's neither 1.1 kilogram or 1.01 kilogram. It is exactly 1.00000000 infinity 0 kilogram. So 1 kilogram, the mass of the object is 1 kilogram, and you are putting the square box on a table, right, on a plain smooth surface. You are putting that square box on a plain smooth surface, and now you are applying a force of 1 Newton to it, and you will see that it has moved a distance, and that distance is exactly 1 meter. And that's what it has been said, that a force of 1 Newton will make an object of 1 kilogram move a distance of 1 meter. A force of 1 Newton will make an object of 1 kilogram move a distance of 1 meter. This thing you will learn in more details in your IGCSE, IAL, and in further studies also. So now let's come to the point that how many types of forces we are going to learn about. There may be many kinds of forces, but we are going to learn about some forces, 6 kinds of forces in this chapter. We are going to learn about 6 different types of forces in this chapter, and that is, the first one is gravitational force. The second one is tension force. The third one is weight force. Fourth one is air resistance force. And the fifth one is frictional force. And the sixth one and the last one that we will learn in this chapter is upthrust force. So let me write the types of forces. For you guys. So, as you guys are seeing here, that I have written the 6 types of forces that I have said previously, that which we are going to learn in this chapter, and in the future you are going to learn about more forces, inshallah. But we are going to try today to cover the whole chapter, inshallah. Let's hope and pray for that. So, the first thing here is that the types of forces. How many types of forces we are going to learn about? We are going to learn about 6 types of forces. One is gravitational force, tension force, weight force, air resistance, friction, and upthrust force. Now, let's come to the first point, our first force, that what is gravitational force? We heard about gravity, we are hearing about gravity continuously in our life, but we don't know that what is the meaning of gravitational force, or what is gravity. Gravity is basically, or gravitational force is basically, it is the downward force by the earth. It is a downward force by the earth. For example, you are jumping up, right? You are jumping up, and if there were no gravitational force, you would continuously fly in the sky. You are going to continuously fly on the sky, and once and at a time you will cross the atmosphere. You will cross the atmosphere of the earth and the outer atmospheric part of the earth, and you will go into space, and you will go into space. So that is why the earth has a gravitational force. Not only earth, each and every planet in this solar system has its own gravitational force. For example, even the natural satellite of Earth, Moon, for example, the natural satellite of the Earth, Moon, has also its own gravitational force of energy, or gravitational force. So let's come to the point that what is gravitational force? It is the downward force by Earth. What is gravitational force? It is the downward force by Earth. Now, here, let me say you something that, for example, if just think that there were no gravitational force, on Earth. Now, what will happen? All the things, for example, your furnitures, your house, even you are going to fly. If there were no gravitational force, we couldn't build the house. Here in the earth, we couldn't build the houses, the buildings, the schools, or anything else. If there was no gravitational force, even we couldn't drive, we couldn't walk, we couldn't cycle, we couldn't do everything. We would fly. We would fly in the sky. If there were no gravitational force, and at the time we would cross the earth's atmosphere level, and we are gonna reach to the space. And if there was no gravity, we would fly till the moment we cross the boundary of Earth and we go to space. And at that moment, you could just jump very high, or you couldn't jump even. You will not be able to jump. You will just float. In the air, and you will have no choice of coming down or go anywhere. You can't, because there is no gravitational force, so you cannot. So there is nothing which is attracting you. As there is nothing attracting you, you will just keep floating in the air. And just think that we are walking on the air, and at a time the scientists had said us that at a time it will come that the earth will lose its gravitational force. Or the earth will not be able to keep up with the population of and the gravity. Listen, the mass of the earth is continuously increasing. So the mass of the earth is constant, and the mass of the peoples are continuously increasing, as many people are born every day. So if we calculate like that, the mass of the earth is increasing. So at a time the earth will not be able to provide us enough gravity, for which we are not prepared yet. If this thing happen tomorrow, we all will die, and we all gonna die within a few seconds. Cause there is a limit in the sky where you can stay alive without taking any extra support or without taking any extra oxygen. But after that limit, you are gonna die. Essentially, you are gonna die, and your soulless body is gonna travel to space, and there will be human bodies all over the space. And this is gonna be very quick at that moment. So that's a future thing. Let's leave it for the future and let's focus on the present. So what we were talking about is that what is gravitational force. So we have learned that it is the downward force by Earth. It is the downward force by Earth. So there is a rule of gravity. There is a rule of gravity, and the rule is that there are rules of gravity. There are two rules of gravity, which is that all masses attract each other. The greater the masses, the stronger the forces. All masses attract each other. The greater the masses, the stronger the forces. Which means that all masses, for example, if the furniture or the chair has a mass, every matter, every atom has its mass, and the chair is made of wood, and the wood is made up of trees, and the tree is made up of atoms, right? Every single thing, every living thing and non-living thing is made up of atoms, and each and every atom has its own mass. So there, as two different masses or two same masses have an attraction towards each other. For example, magnets, the north pole and the south pole of the magnet always attract each other. Like in the same way, two masses will attract each other. Now, the greater the masses, the stronger the forces. For example, if a 55 kilo person and another 55 kilo person sit next to each other, they will have a gravitational force. There will be two types of gravitational force acting on them. One is that both of them will have the single gravitational force from Earth to them. There is a contact gravitational force which will be between them and Earth, and another one will be between them. Another one will be between them. For example, 55 kilo person and 55 kilo person, if both 55 kilo person sit next to each other, their masses will attract each other, or they're gonna attract each other. As they have the same weight, they are not gonna feel anything. As the earth is moving very fast, so we are not feeling anything. So till you learn further in your IGCSE, IAL and further studies, just remember these things, that all masses attract each other. The greater the masses, the stronger the forces. Let me give you another example, which is that if a 150 kilo guy tries to jump, he will or she will have face difficulty in jumping. But in the same way, if a 55 kilo person tries to jump, he or she will face less difficulty, as the attraction between them and the earth due to gravity is less than a 150 kilo person, right? As we have learned, the greater the masses, the greater the attraction. The greater the masses, the stronger the forces. So 150 kilo mass, the 150 kilo mass person will have a greater gravitational force between them and the earth, and a 55 kilo person will have a less gravitational force between them and the earth. So a 55 kilo person will able to jump easily, or should I say more easily than a 150 kilo person. Don't worry, let me explain the second rule of gravitational force, and we are going to learn the definition, and I'm going to write these things, no worries. The closer the masses, stronger the forces. The closer the masses, stronger the forces. which means that while we are standing on the earth directly, we have a greater force. We are having a greater gravitational force. And while we are sleeping or doing another thing, there is a less gravitational force acting on us. Which I will not say less, but I will say less stronger. I will say less stronger. I will not say less, but I should say that less stronger forces will work. Let me write the definition of the gravitational force and also the rule of each. So let's come to the point here that I have written the definition of gravitational force and also the rules that apply by gravitational force or gravity. So gravitational force is the downward force by earth. Gravitational force is the downward force by earth. Rules applied by gravity. All masses attract each other. All masses attract each other. Full stop. The greater the masses, stronger the forces. The greater the masses, stronger the forces. The greater the mass, stronger the forces. Full stop. The closer the masses, the stronger the forces. The closer the masses, the stronger the forces. Or the stronger the force. All masses attract each other. Full stop. The greater the mass, stronger the forces. Stronger the forces. Full stop. Now, let's come to the second point, that is the closer the masses, the stronger the force. The closer the masses, the stronger the force. Full stop. These are the two rules applied by the gravity. Gravitational force is the downward force by earth. I hope you guys are taking essays or taking notes of the things which I am writing on the board, as all of these things are going to come to your coming exam. And not only exam, that first thing you need to know is that first thing you have to understand. Physics and chemistry is all about understanding. Not only physics and chemistry, all subjects are first about understanding. Then you need to learn the things, not memorize. In physics and chemistry, you need to learn the main key points. And you just need to learn the rules. You just need to learn the rules. You don't need to learn the definition or something else. Yeah, you can learn the definition, but you don't need to learn anything else except definition rules. You just need to know how to imply these things. Now let us come to the second force, which was tension force. Now let us come to the second force, which is tension force. Tension is a force that stretches something. Tension is a force that stretches something. Let me write the definition of it. As you guys are seeing here, that I have written the definition of tension force, and also I have given an example of this thing. So now come to the question that what is tension force? Tension is a force that stretches something. Tension is a force that stretches something. Now we always say in our daily life that I am in a huge tension, but tension is not tension, it is actually stress. Stress and tension is a different thing. Stress is something which stress is a state of mind where you are depressed. Stress is a state of mind where your mind is sending you signals that you are depressed, or you are depressed about something. That is also stress. That is stress. And tension is basically occurs between rubbers and something which elastic objects. Something in elastic objects. For example, rubber band is an elastic object. The plastic ropes, sometimes some ropes we stretch. When we pull both sides of the rope stretches. That at that moment tension force is acting on that specific object. For example, while stretching a rubber band, we are applying a force on the band, which is known as tension. While stretching a rubber band, we are applying a force, right? We are stretching a rubber band, and force is being applied, and a force is being stored in that. And for what reason the rubber band is being extended? And for what reason the rubber band is being extended? So it is for the reason that we are applying the force tension, or we are applying tension force. That is why when we are pulling a rubber band, it is stretching. As it is an elastic object, it has a limit. See, whenever you are gonna pull the rubber band with excess force, after a time of period, the rubber band will tear. The rubber band will tear after a certain period of time, or you will see that after a certain period of time, if it doesn't tear, it will lose its elasticity. And by this thing I mean that when after pulling the rubber band, it will come to its original state. After pulling the rubber band, it will come to its original state. But when it loses its elasticity, it will deform. Or it will change its shape. For example, you will see the hair rubber band that our mother or sister uses for tying their hair. You will see that after a certain period of time, the rubber band becomes deformed. Which means that the rubber band যে থাকে সেই rubber bandটা হয়ে যায় নষ্ট। সেটা নষ্ট হয় কিভাবে? সেটা যে আমরা যখন টানবো, প্রথম যখন টানবো, সেটা কিন্তু নিজের অরিজিনাল স্টেটে আবার টানা ছেড়ে দিলে সেটা কিন্তু তাদের অরিজিনাল স্টেটে আবার চলে আসবে। কিন্তু একটা সময় পরে সেই রাবার ব্যান্ডটা তার অরিজিনাল স্টেটে চলে আসবে না, ওই যে লম্বা যে করলাম আমরা সেই লম্বা ফর্মে রয়ে যাবে। which means that অরিজিনালি যদি কোনো কিছু যদি গোল সার্কেল থাকে, রাবার ব্যান্ড যদি সার্কেল থাকে, এটাকে আমরা টেনে ওভার করে দিতেছি। আর যখন আমরা ছেড়ে দেবো তখন এটা সার্কেল হয়ে যাওয়ার কথা। আবার যখন এটা সার্কেল হবে না, and when the rubber band will stay in that oval shape, we have to understand that we have put an extra amount of force. Which was out of hand, or which was beyond the limit of the rubber band. Okay, I will explain this thing in the next class and few other things also. So let's hope we are gonna meet in the next class. So assalamu alaikum everyone, and thank you for staying with Ami.